We want to get you back out to that story we told you we've been watching. The man who avoided execution at the last minute last week was set today to testify before Texas lawmakers. We expected Robert Roberson would speak on that case that landed him on death row. But the change, Texas State Representative Joe Moody explains why.
Today we have an impressive slate of witnesses who I think will surprise everyone and add important dimension to these issues. The most important witness, of course, is Robert Roberson. I'm very disappointed to say I don't believe that will happen today, and I'd like to go over why that is. As many are well aware, there's been a flurry of litigation in the Texas Supreme Court over the weekend. The upshot of that is that a valid legal subpoena for Robert remains in effect. If this committee wanted to take a heavy-handed approach, there are dramatic ways that we could enforce that subpoena. But we didn't issue the subpoena to create a constitutional crisis, and we aren't interested in escalating a division between branches of government. In fact, we have the greatest respect for every other facet of our government, and we want all of them to come together in our purpose here, which is making sure that Robert is heard. There's been a lot of discussion about video conferencing Robert in today. I believe that that'd be perfectly reasonable for most inmate witnesses. But Robert is a person with autism who has significant communication challenges, which was a core issue that impacted him at every stage of our justice system. He's also spent most of the last 2 decades alone, locked away from the modern technology we now take for granted. Video conference is poorly suited for Robert specifically to provide his testimony and would only further the harm he's already suffered. When I thought about the accommodations to be made, I considered his needs as a person with a disability above all other things. I also weighed the fact-finding needs of this committee, the entire purpose of the subpoena. Weighing those with the concerns that were outlined by the Attorney General, our committee simply cannot agree to video conference. That doesn't mean Robert won't testify at all. In the spirit of cooperation, we are in talks with the Attorney General's office right now about ways their position can be addressed while allowing our committee to hear Robert in person. I expect a quick resolution to these discussions, which are ongoing even at this moment, and I will update everyone as soon as those plans are finalized. At this time, I'd like to invite any member of the committee to make any opening remarks. Mr. Vice Chair. Chairman Leach.
Thank you, Chairman Moody, and thanks to those of you who are joining us here at the Capitol today, and to my fellow committee members, fellow legislators here in the room, to Texans who are watching on television, and welcome to all of the non-Texans who are tuned in across this country and really all over the world. We are honored to sit in front of you today and, unlike Washington, to show you that government can work, and that Republicans and Democrats can work together, that death penalty supporters and death penalty opponents can work together, that the branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches can work together. When it comes to our fundamental duties as legislators, it's very simple: to protect at all costs the fundamental rights and liberties of the people, most importantly of which is the right to life. And when it comes to the life of a potentially innocent Texan, someone who I have, over the past several weeks, grown from having questions and concerns about to believing he is fully innocent, and was within 20 minutes and 20 steps of being executed by the state of Texas just days ago. If we can't speak up and step up and work together to fix a system that is not broken in and of itself, but that needs fix, that has failed Robert and failed Nikki, then what are we even doing?
CBS News correspondent Nikki Battiste joins us live once again on the stream. Okay, so Nikki, we had expected he would be there before lawmakers. Now he's not. What is reaction there? 20 minutes and 20 steps, and now this. Quite a change.
I think we're a little bit shocked, but also not entirely surprised. This whole case in the last week has really been unprecedented. These are legal battles that have never been seen before here in Texas. You heard Representative Movie talking about the separation of powers issue. That is a big part of this, and that's really larger than Robert Robertson. And then the other issue we're looking at today, and Robertson's lawyer told me last week when we heard he may testify in person, she was adamant that he did. He was diagnosed as autistic after his conviction, and he's not someone who's really dealt with Zooms. He's never been on a Zoom, and she felt that it was critical for someone with autism to be here in person. The representatives that had issued the subpoena essentially got him the stay of execution are defending that today, and they are demanding that he be here in person. As you heard, whether or not he'll testify at all in person over Zoom is still really a question. I can tell you Robert Robertson is at least 4 hours away from here in prison, so it's unlikely if it were to happen, it would be today.
Have about a minute and a half left to talk about this, Nikki. You know, one of the things that we've heard about and you've reported on is the fact that people who have autism express themselves differently than others when it comes to death and emotions in some cases. Was there some of that concern factored into him not testifying today before lawmakers?
Yeah, his lawyer told me that it would be jarring for him to try to do this over Zoom 1-2. It's critical that he be here in person for a lot of reasons. And going back all the way to the beginning of this case, when it happened in 2002, I spoke with the lead detective on the case last week, and he has since come forward saying he believes Robert Robertson is innocent. Back then, he said he misunderstood what we now know to be autism, that he judged Robert Robertson's behavior, lack of, as he called it, lack of emotion. He said, now I understand what I saw. And so really his autism has been central to this case. Reed?
Nikki Battiste, thank you so much for your reporting. So many more revelations yet to come, and frankly, we're learning a lot as we see this case play out.